All right, I got another one for you guys. Google wants you to take the diversity pledge. So this comes from Google for Games. Going to get into a couple of interesting things in this whole thing. But essentially, this is a pledge that they want developers and publishers to take. People in the games industry so that they can hold them accountable for injecting DEI in their companies and making the world a better place, according to Google. Which, I mean, don't be evil. Didn't you guys used to have that? And that's not a thing anymore with Google, is it? Oh yeah, that's right. It's not. So I don't know if Google should be the ones trying to make the world a better place. I'm not so sure that they're qualified. But let's just dig into this. Go into a few data points, and we'll talk about some of the interesting things that I found in the survey. I'm just going to be scratching the surface, but I'll include the links if you want to dig into it further. Feel free. It's very interesting reading if you can keep your eyes open. So first off, we got these 3 data points on why it matters. 30% of all gaming developers identify as female, of which only 4% are black. That comes from the BCG SEA survey of 2022. 47% of gamers aged 10 to 65 say they don't play games or they feel aren't made for them. That comes from the Newzoo Diversity and Inclusion Study. 79% of main characters in games are male. That comes from the Diversity in Gaming Report and Analysis of Diversity in Video Game Characters, the Diamond Lobby Study of 2023. The last thing here is this blurb down here, which comes from the BCG SEA survey of 2020. I don't know why they didn't use the 2022 survey from this first data point, but I guess they needed the 2020 survey to make the numbers work. A diverse and inclusive workforce can be advantageous for companies, making them more innovative, more profitable, and more likely to retain and attract talented employees. A survey found a correlation between diversity and innovation and profit, with companies above average diversity in leadership teams seeing an increase in innovation by 19%, while diversity-driven companies saw a 14% higher share of revenue from new products. So now that survey I did find, I could not find the new survey on their site. So the best searching that I could come up with, I found some references to these surveys, but not that actual new survey. So the best I can do is the older one and these articles that reference it. And the first one is this taking diversity to the next level in Southeast Asia. So that's from bcg.com itself. And this references that survey, pointing out that it was the 2023 survey, asked more than 6,000 employees. So this is the newer survey in Southeast Asian countries. So the point being that it's only 6,000 employees. And second, it's only Southeast Asia. But even Southeast Asia, I mean, only interviewing 6,000 employees is an awfully small number. Southeast Asia, I mean, you're talking millions and millions of employees. You couldn't broaden that out a little bit, but they didn't do that. So, unfortunately, that's how this is. And they do have the data points that you would see in this DEI Pillars website confirmed, and also this other article here, the future of diversity and inclusion, better for your bottom line, best for your people. And this is from Think with Google under the future with marketing. This does have that data point of 14% higher share of revenue for DEI companies. So they do have those confirmed here, and also this is the actual survey from 2020 that I could find. And this does actually confirm 6,100 employees in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. So they've been basically sticking to that 6,000 number since 2020, and including probably 2022 because they referenced it in this 2023 study. So again, very small number for that area of the world, and it is, again, only that area of the world. It's not a global statistic like they're trying to make it out to be in this gameswithgoogle.com diversity pledge. So that's a bit of a shady tactic for sure. So the next survey that they did was this: 47% of gamers aged 10 to 65 say they don't play games they feel aren't made for them. That comes from this survey. And this is the Newzoo survey. Gaming enthusiasts want to see more diversity and inclusion in their pastime. We asked 4,000 gamers across the US and UK about some of their experiences playing games. So again, a very small sample size compared to even the US alone. Hundreds of millions of gamers. Hundreds of millions versus 4,000. So a fraction of the percentage. You would expect that to be a considerably larger number for them to get accurate data from. But again, I mean, this is a standard tactic in statistical analysis, is to target your survey to areas where you think will yield the most accurate results and call that information so that you know that you're getting the numbers that you want to get, that you're trying to make a point about. And that's a common tactic. And with a sample size like that, it would not surprise me that this is being done here. Then again, the other point about this is that they said, almost half the black gamers we surveyed said they avoided playing games they felt weren't made for them. Weren't made for them. What does that mean? To me, it means it's not something that I would be interested in playing because it's not the kind of game that I play. So someone, a white male dude making a walking simulator ain't making that game for me. And I would imagine that black gamers think the same things about the games that they play because they're gamers. We're all gamers here, and we all kind of think in the same way in that context, that we simply want to play games that we enjoy. So race has nothing to do with that. And they're trying to equate it to race. Again, that include more diverse characters. I would love to see the question that was, how that was worded exactly, because again, I would assume they're trying to craft this in a way that isn't exactly authentic. There are ways to make a survey that is accurate, that kind of eliminates bias or eliminates the directing of bias through that survey. But again, that's a lost art in this day and age. It's quite the opposite these days. It's questions being asked in a way that confirm your bias. That seems to be the way to go. So I would love to see the source questionnaire, but I can't seem to find it here. So it is what it is, and that's how it is. So the last one is this diversity in gaming report, an analysis of diversity in video game characters. They basically took 100 games released in the last 5 years, and that's from 2017 to 2021. The 10 highest, that included the 10 highest selling games from each of those years, along with every other major game release from the biggest game publishers, including Activision, EA, Nintendo, Ubisoft, and more. And their findings say 79.2% of main characters in games are male. Given that it is a predominantly male-dominated industry, I mean, most gamers are guys. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. And you're talking about, AAA publishers, and specifically AAA games. Mostly dudes play those games. Not a lot of women are interested in that. There's a much better representation in mobile gaming of women, but they're not talking about mobile gaming here. They're talking about PC and console, basically. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out, though, is they said Nintendo. They said a bunch of, presumably a bunch of other Asian publishers and studios are included in this. So what are those anime characters? Are they white? Because a lot of Westerners, and these are Westerners doing this analysis, tend to get that wrong. They tend to not understand that they look white, but they're actually Asian in the anime art style, or in the Korean animation art style. They're not, it's a different way of approaching animation, and they get that wrong an awful lot. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see what they came up with. But that's besides the point. I mean, this is just kind of interesting things in that survey as well. But again, 80% or almost 80% of the characters are dudes, and probably more than 80% of gamers are dudes at this point. So at least in this context, PC and console. So I don't know. Seems like these are awfully interesting data points to be trying on this, but that's their why it matters. Going further into this, let's just keep going down here. And there's this little blurb: builds richer perspectives for content development, means creating games that embrace a broad range of people, places, and perspectives. Like, you can't do that on your own. Like, you don't need to have a white guy write a white guy. You don't need to have a black guy write a black guy. You can do that without that. I'm sorry, but that's what good writing is about, is getting into the shoes of your character. And it's about a lot more than race and sex, but it seems like race and sex are the only things that matter to these people. So advocating for everyone earns deeper bonds with today's multicultural gaming community. Does it? I mean, just be, we're gamers, advocate on that front. Don't advocate on race and sex. Advocate on the fact that we're all gamers. But they don't want to do that. Growing our industry as game developers reinvest in this profitable diversity cycle. Is it profitable? I'd like to know. I don't think it is. But let's just go down to the partner pledges. There's some interesting ones here. I got those outlined here. So the first one is advocating for everyone. So we got Matching Him Games, Octro, Potato Play. Those are kind of, I think these are all mobile focused. The next one is Designing for Inclusivity, Arcadium, Mattel 163, and then NeoWiz and Rovio. So Rovio, Angry Birds, so they signed the pledge. NeoWiz, Lies of P, so they signed the pledge too. Now NeoWiz, I mean, everybody likes Lies of P. It was a very good game, no question about it. However, NeoWiz does have an ESG score, low risk ESG score. They're on that DEI, and it's no surprise that they're here as well. You know, I mean, it's not a shock. So the last one here is hiring for diversity. So Agate, Blizz, and Homa, and Unity. So these are all like more development focused tools, especially like Unity, obviously. As if you can't, get any worse there, Unity. I mean, you've already screwed over your developers, and lost an awful lot, and now you're here doing this. I don't know if this is gonna help you, but yeah. So these are the companies that are signing the pledge to get DEI in your games, and they're not small companies. I mean, obviously there are small companies that aren't included in these little blurbs, but this is not like a light take on things. I mean, Unity is a huge player in the engine business. I mean, they're number 2 compared to Unreal. I would say third is probably Godot or Godot. Depends on how you pronounce that. But yeah, Unity is a huge player in that, and they will continue to be, even though they've screwed over their developers and they've lost a lot of support in the last year. They're going to continue to be a huge player in that. And, it's just more, I think it's just more corporate grifting, trying to get people signed on to this thing, basically just to be able to control them, I think. I mean, that seems to be the approach. You get people to sign this pledge, and now all of a sudden, your games have to be diverse, and they have to be made the way we want you to make them. And I'm sure that there are financial incentives behind the wheels here, behind the curtains. But there's nothing obvious here. But I mean, signing this pledge probably means that those investment capital firms look at you a little differently, maybe, or Google puts a good word in for you because they're part of our pledge, and so you can trust that they'll build diverse teams and do things according to our narrative and not their narrative. So that's what I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the vid. It was a bit long. Tried to keep it as short as I could here, but yeah, this is an interesting one. So this is Google's approach to diversity towards DEI. Not a surprise, really. I mean, that's Google being Google, but having it here in writing and seeing the companies involved and how they're approaching all this, scary stuff. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the vid. How do you like the new format? Let me know how this is all going, and I will talk to you guys later.